Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is that you are, wherever you may be. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day. I am Brad Franklin, a creative content right here in Chesterfield, and I'm very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again. Now, there are lots to do coming up in the spring, and there's lots of things happening, and certainly one of the big things that's happening for Chesterfield in the year of our Lord 2024 is the 275th anniversary of the county becoming a thing. And I'm very glad to welcome Bryan Truzzie from Parks and Recreation to talk about the 275th anniversary of Chesterfield. Bryan, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I am doing very well, Bryan. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you being here. Obviously, a really important stretch here. You know, if you think about where everybody was 275 years ago, obviously we weren't anywhere. But in terms of Chesterfield, a lot was happening, and certainly we're gonna recognize that this May. Now, as we record this in early April, there's a lot that is still coming together for the 275th celebration. So we're going to point you to the website for the latest information. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a few. But Bryan, before we get started, before we dive in, I want to ask a quick question sort of about you and your background. In my time with the county, it seems like anytime that there's any sort of anything I need on the history side, you are my go-to. You are that sort of history liaison, if you will. And you've been an invaluable resource, I know, for us in our department. Tell us a little about sort of how you came to be in your current role with Parks and Rec and what brought you here.
Gosh, I've had a lot of really great opportunities over the years, and I guess history has always been a huge passion of mine,
right?
From an early age, and I've had a lot of really great experience working with the National Park Service,
right,
managing a lot of cultural resources and historical components. And then before coming to the county, I was working at Pamplin Historical Park,
okay,
conducting educational programming, guided tours, working with special events.
right.
And then that brought me here to the county in 2006, and presently I serve as the Historic Site Supervisor, and have been really fortunate to be involved with our county's special event committee to work on a lot of really important commemorations and anniversaries over the last 5 or 6 years,
right,
and doing a lot of historical programming, summer camps, guided tours, just a variety of different aspects.
Was history always kind of a thing for you when you were growing up? Was it kind of always a passion for you?
It was, yes. And I think I picked that up from my father,
okay,
who was started off as a school teacher and became a licensed psychologist.
Right.
And I learned a lot of the history from him, and he really instilled in that spirit in me.
Yeah.
And whenever I have an opportunity to take a trip somewhere, I always like to take in a lot of the different historic sites.
Yeah. And what's funny is my dad was both a radio DJ at first, and then he worked for government. So here I am, right? It happens to the best of us. Now, speaking of sort of where we came from, now I'm always fascinated with anything history, and I think I've told you that, you know, lately I've been really into sort of digging into some historical podcasts and things of that nature. 275 years ago, Chesterfield came to be. Can you tell me a little bit about the history here and how it was that this was able to happen? What sort of set all that in motion and what all went into the charter sort of being put together?
Sure. So 275 years ago, we were actually created from the southern half of Henrico County. And the reason for that, that really stemmed from an increased difficulty of residents who lived south of the James, who needed to get to court in Henrico.
Right.
So the decision was made to literally split Henrico in half from the James and Appomattox rivers and create a brand new county. And of course, by doing that, one of the first tasks was going to be to create a new courthouse here in Chesterfield County,
right.
which followed that following year, and situated right along the confluence of some of the major areas here,
right.
and that was going to be one of the first processes that needed to take shape.
And before we leave the history side of the history here, tell me a little bit about how the charter itself, because that's essentially what we're celebrating this specific weekend, why we chose Memorial Day weekend of all times for this to happen. But tell me a little bit more about the charter.
So when the county was officially created, there was a charter that was created by the General Assembly when they passed an act dividing Henrico County, which happened on May 1st of 1749.
Okay.
Literally 2 weeks later, on May 12th, Lieutenant Governor Sir William Gooch signed the charter that created officially the Commissioner of the Peace, which basically was the forerunner to our present-day sheriff's office.
Yeah.
And that established the justices to ensure and keep peace, and also enforce the ordinance and statutes within the dominion of the state of Virginia.
Right.
And that then led to the official beginning of our county, which has been recognized as May 25th, 1749. And literally, the first court was held on June 2nd, 1749.
And Chesterfield got its name, I believe. Who it was? Remind me. What was the guy's name?
His name was Philip Dormer Stanhope.
Right.
He was the fourth Earl of Chesterfield.
He was. That's right, and that's where we got the Chesterfield piece of it.
Yes.
Now, for those of us who were graduating high school in 1999, it was a very different world then. Maybe we were paying some attention to certain things. We were paying not so much attention to things like anniversaries of counties and things of that nature. Probably a little bit worried about Y2K, if we're being honest. But for those like myself who weren't either old enough to pay attention or maybe hadn't come to Chesterfield yet, what was the 250th like in 1999?
So in 1999, there were a lot of different activities that were actually planned. There was a regatta on Swift Creek Reservoir.
Okay.
There was a county fair heritage program.
Okay.
A religious freedom reenactment, which of course, yes, we just did last June.
Right.
We had a gospel choir celebration at Virginia State University.
Okay.
A community fair at Cloverleaf Mall, which was still in existence.
Yeah.
And there was an unveiling of a new exhibit at the Chesterfield County Museum.
Okay.
And what made that special is the Board of Supervisors were dressed in period attire to do the ribbon cutting for that.
Oh, how times have changed. I think we should bring that up at the next board meeting and say, hey, everybody, what do you think? No, that is so interesting to me that they got all of the board members to do something like that. That's interesting. Now, as we prepare for 275 coming, very soon, again, as we record this, it's roughly the middle of April. Lots of details still to come. We have not at this point convinced all 5 board members to dress up in period clothing. But what kind of things has the county sort of been doing to prepare for this momentous occasion? How does something like this happen? How does it come together?
So it really started over a year ago with our county special events committee, really pulling together a variety of representatives from county departments, nonprofit organizations, private citizens, to really take a look at what was done 25 years ago, and how do we make this celebration really special? Because really this is the day for the residents of Chesterfield County to celebrate our birthday. So some of the activities that we are going to be planning for the event on Saturday, May 25th, which will be held at the Chesterfield County Fairgrounds.
Real quick, before you do that, I do want to make sure I point to people to again, this is middle of April, so if there are any questions or any maybe changes to the lineup, make sure you pay attention to the website. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, you're seeing the website on your screen. Easiest way is to go to Chesterfield.gov and search for 275, and you'll be able to pull up all the information there. So I'll also link that in the description for the podcast app. But anyway, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure we got that out there for folks who may be listening, who might hear some of this, and if maybe there are any changes, I want to make sure we get them in the right direction. So tell us a little bit more about sort of what's going into the 25th and what kind of things folks can expect to experience when they come out.
Sure. So when they come out for the evening, we're going to have a variety of different musical performances.
Okay.
We'll have a patriotic concert from the Chesterfield Community Band.
Right.
There will be a performance from the Virginia State University Trojan Marching Band.
Awesome.
We're going to have African-American storytelling. There'll be period crafters and vendors. There'll be a designated children's activity zone with a lot of activities for the younger audience. We'll have a variety of food trucks. And to really wrap up the evening, we're going to have a fireworks show.
Great. And what's fun about that, too, is that if you think about all the different kinds of things that you can do kind of a festival atmosphere, but when you put the fireworks in the mix, it really does kind of take things up a little bit of a notch. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be very excited to be there. And certainly to those who look, we understand that this is Memorial Day weekend. If you are making plans, please put this in for consideration, because it should be a great time. Before we wrap up, Bryan, I'm just curious, from a 275, 275 years is a long time. It's, for folks who are, maybe think about it this way. Chesterfield's older than the country in which it exists, right? And sure, there are lots of places that claim a lot of heritage and can claim a history and all that fun stuff. But 275 seems really special, and I'm not sure. Maybe you will. I don't know if I'll see the next 25 years. No. I don't know if I'll be here and when Chesterfield turns 300. Which just, if you just like to say those words, it just kind of sounds crazy. But as somebody who's working on the committee for the 250 as well as you are, it just 275 it's a significant moment for the county. How would you sort of put that into frame for folks in terms of what we're really celebrating this May? And I know you've done some speeches, some talks about some speaking engagements or whatever about 275. Right. How would you sort of characterize the substantial nature of the county celebrating something this big?
I think when we look back at another 25 years, it's looking at a lot of the unique and significant achievements that has happened here in the county since 1999. Yeah, we have grown exponentially. We've seen so much growth. Yeah, we are a lot more diverse population in the county here, and so when we approached planning for this celebration, we wanted to ensure that this was going to be a celebration for the masses and that there was going to be something that everyone would really enjoy and appreciate. Yeah.
I love the idea that in 25 years they'll have, maybe part of the celebration is they'll have some special Lego build showing the history of Chesterfield County or something fun like that, Yes. And for anybody who's out there who hears this and then in 25 years is actually here and wants to do that, you feel free to take that idea and run with it and take it to the good people of Lego. I won't claim any ownership of it. But Bryan, thank you very much for coming on the podcast talking to us about 275. Again, if you're out there and you're watching the show on YouTube, you're probably seeing a link on the screen right about now that'll take you to the events page and kind of talk to you about sort of what all's going on. If you're listening, the link will be in your podcast app of choice, and then I'll also make sure that we point you to the right place. But again, just Chesterfield.gov, you can search 275, and you'll find the webpage there. But Bryan, thank you very much for coming on the show. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Make sure you check us out on social media. On Twitter, it's @ChesterfieldVA, and on Instagram, it's Chesterfield, Virginia, one word. And on Facebook, you can check out our podcast page. Just search Chesterfield Behind the Mic. Now, make sure to follow or subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, or wherever it is that you get your shows. And if you're so inclined to give us a rating or review, we'd greatly appreciate it. As always, a video version of our show is available on our YouTube channel, as well as on our website, Chesterfield.gov/podcast. That's also where you can submit feedback anytime, make suggestions, or just reach out to us. You can watch the show on WCCT Thursday through Sunday at 7, on the weekends at noon. That's Comcast Channel 98 and Verizon Channel 28. Lastly, check out Chesterfield.gov/connect with us to find a number of other ways to connect with Chesterfield County. My thanks to my director, Martin Stith, my executive producer, Teresa, Bonifas, and all the good folks from Constituent and Media Services for all they do. And my thanks to you for joining us today. So from all of us here in Chesterfield, thanks again for making us a part of your day. We'll see you again real soon. Take good care. From blogs to podcasts, and I'm very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again. Newsletters to alerts, social media, the latest community news.
Welcome to the latest installment of This Week in Chesterfield.
How to get in touch, and everything in between. If you want to know about Chesterfield County, our Connect With Us webpage has you covered. Chesterfield.gov/connect with us. Connect with us, your source for all things Chesterfield.